Hey guys.
Hello there.
Hello.
Just been reading Matthew 13 actually. Basically, there's a lot of parables said in Matthew 13. We're just going to concentrate on the first one he tells because I think it's very apt for today's for today's day and age. You know, it talks about a farmer who's sowing seed.
Yeah.
And basically, the farmer, to be honest with you, is us because we are the ones that are sowing seed. We preach the gospel, etc., etc. You know, and it shows four types of people when he sows a seed. Some landed on rocky ground, some landed on shallow soil, some landed on the path, and some landed on good ground. You know, it's put down and basically, obviously, Jesus spoke in a parable. The disciples basically asked him to, well, listen, why do you always speak in parables? We can't understand you, Jesus. We want to understand what you're saying. He said, well, listen, for you, because you're my disciples, you're my apostles, and I want you to understand what I'm talking about. You know, and basically, it says the parable means, right? So when anyone hears a message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. That's what he's learning on the path. So basically, it's sown on the path, okay? They don't understand. It hasn't got any plants in it, so they come into our church or they speak on the street. It says the wisdom of the gospel is foolishness to man because they think it's foolish, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And the birds peck it away. So it actually does no good at all in their hearts. And something to do with God. There's no predestination. It's basically their hearts are hard or their hearts are not understanding what we're saying. Let me say it will never understand, but that particular time it doesn't understand. Okay, and then basically the seed that falls on rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and receives it with joy. So basically they receive it, they look at, they want it, they make some sort of confession of faith. But it says, but since they have no root, they only last a short time. Because when trouble and persecutions come, it says, they quickly fall away. So they were fake Christians or shallow Christians. They weren't really believers. They had no root in Jesus. And it said the seed that's among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the ways of this life, the world, choke the word and making it unfruitful. So basically, it means that that they make some sort of commitment, but as soon as anything happens, it's normally the gospel that's been preached to them of come to Jesus, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be hunky dory. And believers, we know it's far from that as Christians. It'll only get worse. But they hear that gospel, they receive that gospel, they might even pray a prayer. You never know, they might even pray a prayer. But it says when hard time and persecution comes, they basically run away and flee. But then the other 25% of the seed falls on good ground, and they believe it, and they put their roots down into Jesus. They become in Christ, and it says they produce fruit, 30-fold, 60-fold, and 100-fold. You know, and so we're only encouraged to sow seed. We're not encouraged to. We can't make them grow. We can't make them. You can't make people Christians. You can only tell people the gospel. I made that mistake in the past. I've tried to persuade people to become Christians. You can't. You have to let them make decisions themselves. It's like that old saying goes: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So you can lead someone to Christ if they choose to accept him or reject him. It's up to
exactly.
them. But but doesn't mean so we don't ever preach the gospel. We have to preach the gospel. It says. But we have to preach for them to hear the word, and the word will turn to faith, and that's what we have to do. Yeah. But it's just saying that you're not always going to give 100% success rate. Unfortunately, it'd be nice if it was, because some people are hard-hearted, they love the world too much, or they get tossed around by all the things that come, the persecutions that come. But some of the seeds you will plant will turn into in time to fruitfulness.
Yeah, the bit that stuck out to me really was, well, all of that, but the worries of the world, really, the worries of wealth and the worries of stuff. When times of trouble come, it is important that we have ourselves rooted in God. It is important that there are roots. And then verse 21 says, but since they have no roots, they only lasted a short time. We don't want to be Christians that like when we first become Christians, I'm on a high because I know what Jesus has done. But then we don't spend time with God. No reading the Bible, no worship, no prayer time. And because the roots aren't there, just when something happens like that, a problem or something of the world comes along, or like going through the motions, something like that. If something like that comes along, they don't have the roots to keep grounded in the faith. But they wither away and they die because they only live for a short time because they are not rooted in God. That's why I think it is so important to be rooted in God. Not only because if we are rooted in God, then if like a tidal wave comes hitting at us, metaphorically, if a tidal wave comes, then we can stay firm in God and we will stay planted with God. But if we had no roots, we will wither away and we'll be crashed and broken by the tidal wave, by the tsunami that crashes. But if we have our roots by reading the Bible, by praying, by worshipping with Him, if we have those roots, then the waves of the world will not come, will not throw us away from God. But as we are rooted with God, we will stay there and stay firm.
Yeah. As some of you may know, the story of the man who one man built his house upon the rock, and one built his house upon the stone. It's similar to that in a way. The man who built his house on sand, there was no deep. They hadn't had the foundation or the structure to actually withstand anything. Whereas the man who built it on the rock had, and that's what we need to be. We need to have a strong foundation, what we know and believe.
Yeah.
That's good, amen.
Yeah. So we just want to encourage you guys, really, be rooted in God.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, whether it's reading the Bible, whether it's worship or whether it's prayer, even though we encourage you to do all three, but keep rooted in God. Try and spend as much time with Him as you can, because we haven't got a lot of time on this earth, and this earth is only temporary, and we have to make a decision. What matters more? The worldly things, this world, the stuff in this world, or our eternity?
Yeah.
It's our eternity that is on the line. So we need to be rooted in God. We need to stand firm in God. We cannot have a sinful nature. We cannot have a nature that wants to please the world. We cannot have a nature that says, I'll do this on a Sunday, but I'll do this during the week. We need to be firm in our relationship with God, and we need to be rooted in.
Amen.
There's a paradigm difference between the world and the kingdom of God, because it says it hated Jesus, right? And it will hate us as well. So if the world loves us, we have to question sometimes whether or not we're obeying God, because it will eventually hate us and it will get worse. But listen, that's not bad news. It's the fact that, when these things start to happen, we know that He's coming. Is going to be soon, and we'll be we're with Him in eternity forever and ever. God bless you guys.
God bless
Hope you have a good
God
day,
bless.
and we will speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Amen.